Okay, as you can see, I have mounted the mast on the lathe. I kept the little indentation dimple. I did not trim that down because I wanted my live center here. This live center spins, so it does not, it's got like a bearing inside. So that this spins when this spins, so it doesn't build up any heat or friction. Here's the flats, here's the dowel, and I have already started cutting into the mast because I didn't want to make the hole larger on the ship. So I measured from the inside of the ship up to the top deck where the mast will be, and I came up with this distance here. Okay, then I'll go ahead and spin this up and show you what's going on. And then I'm going to cease the video so I can reframe the shot, because I want to reframe the shot so that you can see what I'm doing here. Okay, this camera is very close to me. It's almost sitting in my lap trying to get this angle so that you can see what's going on here. But as I discussed in a previous video, that this dowel here is about 12 millimeters in diameter. The problem is it is slightly irregular. It's not perfectly round. I'm going to sand this part off by hand just to smooth it out. I'm not going to worry about any irregularities there. It may provide just a slight taper. But the measurement to go into the mast openings on the deck calls for 11.3 millimeters. And what I did, I started out here using a parting tool so I could set the exact distance from here to here. And once I got the depth that I wanted, now I changed the tool to more of just a machining tool that would cut the rest of this out. Now the parting tool was able to cut out this 3 to 4 millimeter gap enough for this particular tool to set in there, because it has somewhat of an angle to it. So let's go ahead and we'll make us a cut. Now I'm taking this nice and slow. This is something that you don't want to rush because of the fact that even though this dowel is fairly straight, when this tool is pressing up against the dowel, it's going to have some flexure to it. And that's the reason why I keep running it back and forth, because the flexure. And after the dowel relaxes a little bit from being cut, when you go back, it will still cut some more. Okay, so only thing I have to do here is the original cut that I made is a go-by for the rest of this. I just need to make sure the rest of my cut matches my go-by cut. Now I do have a tool here that's called a center rest, and what this does is obviously your dowel will go in here, and you set this up on your lathe so that and I'll turn the camera here some. So this sits on the bed, and it sits on the bed so that so it will keep the dowel straight. So if you can imagine this going in here like that, the little bearings here, you adjust these screws here to allow the brass keepers to come in here and just barely touch the dowel. Okay, so why didn't I use that? Well, sometimes these little bearings here, you know, it will make an impression on this dowel. You know, you don't want a ring. Okay, so you say, well, loosen it up some, and yes, there is a happy medium between this doing its job and being too tight and making a ring. So the trade-off is the fact of just doing small, thin cuts across the dowel. Now, if another part is the fact that I'm just cutting this lower section. Now, if I was cutting way up in this area here, yes, I would have to use this center rest. So anyway, that pretty much concludes this little short clip. Just wanted to show you how I was going to finish off this mast.